And hello again, and here we are back on my drive for the next episode of my 2024 GPZ project. And since the end of the last episode, things have moved on a little bit. I've now fitted the R6 forks with their painted lowers, went from silver to black, and I've also loosely fitted this front mudguard, and this front mudguard is from a Yamaha XJR 1300. And while the front ends do look identical between an R6 and that bike, they're not quite the same. The mounts are slightly different, which means this mudguard doesn't fit as is, so I've got to make some little brackets and spaces to make all that work together, which I'll come back to in a minute. I've also fitted the Yamaha gold spots, not blue spots but gold spot front calipers. They went straight on, no problem. At the back of the bike I've now fitted these temporary rigid struts just to keep the swing arm off the ground and keep things balanced, because this bike's getting a little bit precarious. By the way, I've also now lifted it onto a cheap and cheerful £15 wheel trolley, but that little trolley can take 200 kilos, so hopefully it'll do me no problem. Also at the back I've just fitted a pair of R&G paddock cotton reels, obviously for the paddock strands. So yeah, things are going on okay. So next then, I want to concentrate on the front end of the bike here and sort out the mounts for the front headlamp, indicators and the gauge mount, and all that I want to be sort of integrated as one great big lump, as it were. That's going to be quite a complicated thing to do, so I might need some help for that. But that's not all that new bracket's going to have to do, because I also want to fit something like this. And this is a carbon fibre, rather cool fairing from a Kawasaki Z900 RS Cafe. It's just been painted. In fact, I took that to the painter, let's see, last September. It's now early May, so you can see how long it takes. This particular cockpit fairing is for my 1170 project, but I do like it. I love this particular shape, and I think it might work quite well on this particular bike. So it'll end up, let's see, quick guess, it'll end up fitting something perhaps like that. Yeah, so it needs its own separate mount as well to go inside here. I've already made one for the 1170. I made the mistake of making it in aluminium because I thought it'd be lighter, but it was such a pain to make with the welding and so on that the new one I'll make for this particular bike will be made out of steel. I'm not doing the aluminium thing again. Anyway, let me now go and put that away somewhere safe so it doesn't get scratched. I can't quite fit it to my 1170 yet because the 1170 is tucked away back of the garage. I can't remove it at the moment, so it's just have to be put somewhere safe for the time being. And so if we look down on the top yoke, we can see we've got these two threaded holes put there by Yamaha to orientate the clip-ons when this was fitted to an R6, because an R6 had clip-ons, not standard bars and risers. I've now modified this top yoke to take standard risers and standard bars. Therefore I can use these two spare threaded holes to mount the gauge. So therefore I've cut out this little cardboard aided design, bit of cardboard. This is the Mark III version, and it's going to go something like that. This bit here shows where the gauge will go. The gauge is 80 millimeters, and so this has been cut out to about 81, 82 mil, just to give a little bit of clearance. I'll then make two strips of aluminium which will bolt from here to the holes, and they'll be bent, so I can bend it however I want to get the angle needed for me, the rider. So now I need to make this in aluminium plate. And I'm probably going to use 4 or even 5 or 6 mil aluminium plate, which is a bit thicker than it really needs to be. And that's because I need to mount the rest of the bracketry to hold the headlamp and indicators and that big old carbon fibre fairing. The top part of that will be bolted to the underside of this, and that's why it needs to be a bit thicker than needed. And next I want to fit this mudguard, and this mudguard is from an XJR 1300, the forks for which at first glance look identical to the forks of an R6, and they are very similar, but they're not the same. And the bits that aren't the same are the mudguard mounts. So let me just put a little bolt through here just to hold it in place. As you see here, look, this is a threaded hole. We go through there. You can see, first of all, it's a big gap, you get a finger in there, and also the holes aren't aligned. So what I've got to do is get a spacer to make up that gap, and also sort of bracket, a small bracket to make up the difference. And so I found this spacer, which just happens to be perfect. That'll go on there like that, and then that's kind of the difference. There's still a bit of a gap there, but that's okay because I've got to add a bracket to go from here to here. Now this bolt can't be used. What I'll have to use is a longer version of one of these, a countersunk bolt, and it'll go this way, and I'll countersink it into the little bracket that I'm going to make, such that it's going to be flush with that. Otherwise it's just going to damage the paintwork and so on. So yeah, it's still a lot to do, but at least I know where I'm going now. And so once I've made those new mounts, the mudguard should look something like that on the bike. And next I can fit the calipers, and these of course are Yamaha Gold Spots, not blue spots, but Gold Spots. And to fit them, I've got some brand new, rather posh and expensive stainless steel fasteners. So let's just pop him on there. I would like to fit the wheel as well, but unfortunately I don't have enough clearance yet. The wheel would hit the ground. It's got no tyre on it because I want to get them painted. Let's just try and get that damn thing going. Also, I don't really want to raise up this bike any more than it is, and this little trolley, because it's not very stable, and the higher it gets, the less stable it will be. So for now the wheels will have to stay off the bike, and that's no problem because, as I say, they need to be painted or coated or have some kind of high-tech and no doubt expensive ceramic coating given to them. Right, so there you go. There's one set just gently fastened on, and I can now do the far side. And so here's a shot of the entire bike, and as you can see, it's slowly coming together. So next then, I think I should make a start on making all those brackets. And so here we have the start of my very simple template. It's not quite right yet, but it doesn't matter, it's close enough. So this bracket down here will bolt to the two lower bosses. These uprights will be parallel with the forks just inside them, and this upper piece will be just below the level of the top yoke. So yeah, that's kind of how it's going to be. So next then I need to make some more cardboard templates for the ears, which will bolt to here. I will actually make a simple bracket that will be welded on here, and then the ears can be bolted onto that in turn, because you never quite know the exact correct place for the headlamp and the fairing and so on. So by bolting it to a fixed point, I can change things around as much as I like. So here at the top, I'm going to have a bracket that in turn will bolt to the underside of my new aluminium gauge mount. So yeah, hopefully this will work out quite well. And so let's continue. And now here we are, it's the next day, and I've got the first part of the bracket fabricated. It looks something like that. And so now I need to make the brackets that weld to this cage. One down here, one either side, and one at the top. And next we've turned this bit of CAD, cardboard edit design, into the real thing made from 4mm thick aluminium sheet. So this will sit something like that at maybe an angle of 45 degrees. So now I need to make quite a complicated pair of brackets to mount this to these little holes here on the top of the yoke. I say complicated because they're going to have to follow this shape here between the fork leg and this edge of the top yoke. They've also then got to be angled up at the appropriate mount and either bolted or welded to the underside of this bracket. This bracket will then be bolted to the top of my new cage via one of these brackets here, which will again be angled up at the same angle as this thing. So it's all going to be done very carefully, but we are getting there slowly. And now I've just got all four brackets welded to the cage. The top one here is angled at around 45 degrees. Now these are the Mark 1 version. I will be making a Mark 2 version which will look a lot better. But these are to mount the Speedo tacho unit mount like so. Now I don't yet have the correct unit for the bike, but I do have this. This is a Cosso tacho unit alone, but it is the same size as the unit I want to buy for the bike. So it'll end up looking something like that, hopefully. And so that's about it for this week. And so in the next episode, we'll sort out the mount for the Cosso speedometer unit and also sort out the mounts for the headlamp, which I've also not got yet, but I've ordered it and it's on its way. I also want to sort out the wheels. They need stripping down and coating. Maybe Cerakote, maybe powder coat, maybe paint, not sure yet, but we'll get that done in the next episode. And so by the end of the next episode, this bike should hopefully be on its wheels. Anyway, that's it for now. And so thanks for watching and cheers.